ELI5. Why is it so difficult to copy source code that is not open source? I always liked the cake analogy. With open source software, you're downloading all the ingredients and the recipe to put it all together into a cake. So if you want to know exactly how the cake is made, you can dig around and look at the ingredients list and how they all mix together. With closed source software, all you're really downloading is the cake. There's no way to deconstruct it into the basic elements. You might be able to guess some of it, but you won't know exactly how it all blends and bakes together into that final tasty delicious dessert. Technically the code is in the device somewhere hidden in it, so it's there, but still, it's almost impossible to obtain the source code. The source code will not usually exist in the final product. Most software is compiled, meaning that new instructions are created using the source code as a guide. The compiled program does what the source code looks like it does, more or less, but it will generally be structured in a way much less friendly to humans but friendlier to computers, which is the point of doing it in the first place. Open source. This times that plus the other thing in that piece over there 5. Closed source compiled. The answer is 5. What was the question? Sure, you could guess, but would it be as streamlined? Also, you wouldn't know what else the code is hiding doing if it doesn't appear anywhere. X200B. To put into context, there's a website showing how 30 different languages go about printing Hello World on the screen. Now imagine that for complex programs, org Hello World in 30 different languages. It isn't that difficult. Executable code is like a house. To a child or someone untrained in construction, a house is a solid thing, difficult to penetrate or damage. To someone trained, everything is in plain sight. Whatever isn't in plain sight is hidden behind drywall. Reverse engineering is just finding the right tool to rip off the drywall and then looking at the mess underneath. It's easier if you get blueprints source code, but even if you don't have blueprints, you can still see what's actually there assembled binary. I'm not sure if it's been mentioned yet, but modern compilers have a lot of tricks they use to make the computer program run faster. So it's not like one line of C source code will always compile to the same set of machine code, so it would be easy to reverse back to the source code. Instead, there are all kinds of different combinations of complicated machine code that might be generated depending on what the compiler thinks the program is trying to do, so it's not possible to completely unpick it back to the original source code. The process of programming is all about writing human-readable code. When code is compiled, the result is computer optimized and has no inherent human-readable properties. On top of this, companies go out of their way to make it as unreadable as possible by mixing it in confusing ways. You can also do other stuff as a bonus. The bottom line is closed sources. X16 Rax 0 Move 78. Open sources. Print $. It's basically security by making it more expensive to clean up than start from scratch. Source code and executable code look very different. Source code is readable to a human while executable code is readable by the computer. We translate source code into machine code compiling. There are ways to translate back, but you lose some meaning. Try running a sentence through Google Translate through like 10 languages then back to English. You may get the general idea, but you'll lose some nuance or might even get gibberish back. So for example, a company accidentally releases a game where a debugging menu is available. Then if I decompile the program and then using it alongside the debugger, could I be able to check exactly where in the code I need to focus? But here is my question, after I know where to look, what's next? Like the program is still decompiled, I just know where to look. They call it the source code because it's the source of the compiled artifact you actually run. Compilation is an inherently lossy process, so you can't really go back decompile a compiled artifact into its source. You can decompile it into something, but it's not what the programmer actually wrote. The program you have is not the source code. It's an inscrutable collection of data that's unlabeled and compact. Source code is the actual code of a program that the developers are working with. If we use a car analogy, the program is a car. The source code is the car factory.